G'day, today we're going to have a look at Defense Zone 3. This is Defense Zone 3 Ultra HD on Steam. And just a few tips and tricks that I've found that make this a little bit easier because this is a very difficult game. It is fun, but it's definitely one of the more hardcore tower defense games I've played. I've put up about 160 hours into it so far and I'm 15 or so levels in. So firstly, when you go into the options, you've got a few options that will make life a little bit easier. Map scale, you definitely want to tick. That'll allow you to see the whole map on screen at once, which is something that just doesn't come originally and does make life a little bit trickier. And damage log. Damage log will show you how much damage each individual tower has done. So if you're really struggling with your strategy, it'll let you know this is what you need to sort of focus on. Or these towers are doing a good job. These towers aren't actually contributing that much. You can probably get rid of them. So what we're going to do is we'll just jump straight into a game and we'll go through the different abilities. So we're just going to use level 10 as our example level. Now each level has 4 different difficulties on it. You've got your easy, normal, hard, and nightmare. Every single one of those different difficulties has an achievement that comes with it. So finish the game without losing any health in easy, finish it without losing any health on normal, any health on hard, any health on nightmare. Now if you do Nightmare, you won't get the achievements for doing easy, normal, and hard. You actually do have to do them individually. It's not the worst thing in the world. What it allows you to do is that you can go play the game through on easy, just get a feel for the way that the map looks. Once that you've done that once and you've got that sort of really easy look at it, now play it on normal, refine how you think you're going to beat this level on Nightmare. What's the strategy? How are you going to start your build? What's going to be the best approach? Hard is basically you're putting that into practice. You're now putting cat towers in the times that you need to put them in and the order that you need to do it in. How's it working? Is it looking good? Great. Pray that it's all coming together and that you don't have to rechange your strategy when you hit Nightmare. That's sort of the way we're looking at it. But just for this tutorial, what we're going to do is just have a look at easy, and we'll just start from the from scratch here. Okay, so the first thing that you can see when you bring in the map is you've got um, where the air's going to go, where the land's going to go, if there's ships, where the ships are going to go. I'll just quickly say as well, if you are playing against ships, this is the tower that you want to use. The lightning towers are the absolute game winner. As many lightning towers as you can get in to take out ships, complement them with rockets, and that's how you're going to look at those levels. But what we're going to look at here is what we do to approach a level like this. So one thing to note is generally it seems like you get to see this map at the very beginning, but then don't get to see it again. If you go into your options, you can see show enemy trajectories here. If you tick that anytime in the game, it'll bring back up this overlay, and so you can have a sense of it. But I generally find that when you're playing the map on easy, you'll make mistakes. You'll discover that you didn't put air troops in soon enough. You've got to do it again, and that's where you'll sort of build your idea of how to approach the map so that by the time you get to hard and nightmare on that level, you'll have an understanding of what's coming when and where they're going. So what we're going to do first is just have a look at the towers. So some of these towers are useful, some aren't. I would say probably you only want to worry about 4 of them, and the other 4 you can just ignore. The 4 that you are going to use are the rocket tower, the lightning tower, the artillery tower, and the freezing tower. So what we want to do is freezing tower will slow down the troops. Rocket towers will hit air troops and land troops and water troops if you're fighting against them. The lightning tower will hit land troops and water troops and won't hit air troops. And then the artillery towers will be your really heavy hitters that are going to win you the game when you're getting against those bad heavy guys at the end. We don't use fire towers because they work against cooling towers. If a guy's on fire and gets hit with a cool, it turns off, it sort of stops him burning. So it's not worthwhile. This guy is too expensive and not as efficient as an artillery tower. You're going to find that you're actually going to get much more efficiency and bang for your buck for the artillery tower. Only if you've got no space left on your map and you've got need towers that are going to be shooting extreme long ranges and you've got more money than sense, that you want to worry about those missile towers. The laser towers will shoot air, but they will react pretty slowly. A rocket tower will actually sort of fire a rocket, and that rocket will home and hit them, whereas a laser tower will sort of have to trace them, and it will be a sort of won't be as effective. You may as well just build rocket towers, just ignore them. And the artillery tower, the machine gun towers, very weak. They're not going to help you much out of the very early game. Probably the only benefit that they have is if you have one lone troop that is walking and you've got nothing left to stop him, just build one of those towers there for $20. hopefully he'll kill him, and then you can just sell it for $14 again. So it's just $6 to get rid of a guy that's running off. So what we'll do is when you start, generally you're going to start with a lightning tower. What that lightning tower will do is sort of be able. They're usually going to give you something pretty easy to fight against in the first wave, and so in this case you can see it's going to be these trucks, and then we're going to have just the infantry. Now generally the infantry are going to be what are going to be best killed by lightning towers. So you can see there we've got our numbers showing us how much damage the two towers have done, to give us an idea in the long term if we start to struggle, where if they're doing their job and sort of we're getting our money's worth out of them. So what I'm doing here is that we know that the next thing that's going to be coming is the air towers. When you start each wave, it will actually tell you how many more waves until a type of air waves coming. So you'll see here it says next wave in 5 seconds. You can see it's telling us airs here, and it'll say airborne assault in 1 wave. So what we need to do is just make sure that we've got our air assault ready. Now, one problem that you can have with air sometimes is the focus. So you can see that these guys here are going to get within this guy's range, but I'm pretty skimp for my anti-air, and I know that these two guys are going to make absolute mincemeat of these guys. So what you can do is change the priorities of what these towers will focus on. So you can see that at the moment his priority is he will shoot at air when he can see air. If he can't, he'll shoot at land, and if he can't see any of those and there's something going by in water, he can shoot that. Now this is important to remember on levels where you do have land and water, because I definitely spent a little while when I first played getting frustrated that my towers were just letting these water guys go by and doing nothing about them. You can change this order. You can say, alright, nah, if you see a water guy, go for him first, then go for your land troops. Or you can say, don't even worry about the land troops. Your job is just to focus on killing those. And you can change this at any time. So for example, at this point, I know that I need this tower to just shoot these air guys. I don't want them to stress about killing these land troops because they're going to get killed anyway. So let's just change the focus. You can also do this in a situation where you know that you've got your air covered, and then you just want someone to focus on the land. Like, I need this guy to kill these guys. These are all work fine. Don't worry about it. It's important to just sort of make sure that he does that. Now, the other thing that you can do with your towers in terms of changing what they do is what they focus on. So you can see that at the moment he's just choosing optimum target. Most of them will just default to this. Now what this means is that the game is going to choose, the AI is just going to look at it and go, this is the best suited target. Now for some weapons like the artillery tower, I'm just going to put an artillery tower in just so you can get a feel for how it looks. This is a good move because it's going to be a really heavy hitter. I don't want him hitting a guy that's only got 5 health left or so. I want that job being done by my lightning towers or by my missile batteries. Someone that's going to really really get their that aren't going to be doing such big hits that it doesn't much matter if I'm wasting a rocket on that. Whereas when this guy hits, it's important. It's only once every you'd see here it's only once every 5 seconds. So I want him to really be hitting the guy that needs to be hit. Now when it comes to upgrading, you can see here that he cost me 200 and he's going to cost me a further 200 to upgrade, and that's the same for everyone. These guys are going to cost me 60 to upgrade, these guys will cost me 50. So basically what it is that when you put a tower in, they're going to cost the same amount to do their initial upgrade as they did when you put them in. Now you can see his initial power here is 58, and you can see his upgrade time is going to take 6 seconds, and then it's 60. Now as soon as he's upgraded, you can see that's now doubled to 120. His upgrade time is now doubled to 12 seconds, and his power is now doubled to 116. That's what's going to happen every single time we upgrade him. His range is going to get a little bit better as well, but every time you update them, that upgrade time is going to become longer. It's going to double, that power time is going to double, and that upgrade cost is going to double. Now this is important because you've got to factor this into the way that you play, that you're going to knock towers out of the fight while they're upgrading. When you get to the highest level, it's going to be 96 seconds that they're taking to upgrade, and you've got to ask yourself, can I afford to have this tower not in the fight for that long? This is the sort of things that have to come into strategy. This is where you might use one of your abilities to attempt to slow them down to actually resolve a problem, as opposed to slow them down to sort of like allow you to do an update rather than using it to actually like strategically fight. Now, we do have a few different weapon abilities here. Now, firstly, if you're finding that you are sort of zooming in and you can't see the edges and that's annoying you, you can hide your weapon bars, but being able to zoom out basically solves that problem as well. Now, there's a few different abilities that you have here, and they work in different ways that you have to get used to the idea of their delay as well. So for example, we'll start with the fire. What this guy does is we drop a fire bomb, and what he'll do is anyone that walks through it, they will burn while they're in it, and then as they come out of it, they'll also still be on fire until that fire might eventually burn out. Or if I've got a freezing tower, the freezing tower will cause them to sort of like stop burning. The other abilities that we've got here, we've got a nail bomb. So what you've got to do is this one is going to drop a bomb on them, but it's going to drop it ahead of them. So you've got to factor in how fast the troop is moving. And so say we want to probably drop it here to try and hit these front guys. So you can see that it comes across. So that's something that's just going to take some time to get used to, is the sort of distance that you've got to drop that. The next one is a mine. Now if you've got a guy that is just about to leave the map, this is what you're going to use on him, because these instantly drop. So if we drop these, it's already there, bang. So if you've got a guy that's about to escape, drop a mine on him, problem solved. The next one is a slowing bomb. So similar to the other one, it just drops and it freezes them in their tracks. So this is sort of ideal, possibly using in complement with another one. If you drop that and then drop a nail bomb on it, it means the front guys will slow down, the other guys will come up behind them, and then you can hit a whole lot of guys at once. Now, the next bomb, we'll just do a quick update on a few of our towers while we've got the money. Now the next tower we have is this lightning ball. Now this is one of the most effective ones. This will work on air towers, unlike any of the other ones. And what this does is it creates some balls. Those balls will zap away, and then after a while they'll explode. So if you put them in a nice spot, you'll actually knock out a few guys quickly. Again, it's a very good one for using it very fast. This is your best, most instant fight. If you need to kill a guy really quickly with a really heavy hit, this will basically land where you drop it, and so there's almost no delay on dropping that guy. Then down the bottom here, you've got your nuke. This is going to be one of your most effective sort of towers to drop. We don't have anyone here, so I'll show you that in a moment. Now, another thing that I'll show you is you can see that my towers are now getting green rings around them. On the first level, like this guy is, he has no hellfire, but everyone else, they'll slowly bring up their hellfire. Now what you can do is you can tick this box to say automatically use it yourself when it's good to go. I don't think that's the way to use it. I think eventually you want to get in the habit of being able to make these calls yourself, because what I'll do, sorry, is if I tick this, the very first enemy that gets to this guy, he's going to use it. He's going to just straight burn that away, and it's not going to sort of be that effective, because the very first guy is probably going to die anyway, because he's got everything sort of coming at him. What you want to do is reach a point where you're comfortable choosing when you think you need this. So for example, right now you can see there's a lot of air going by, and my guys might not be able to handle it. So what I can do is say Hellfire. So as he fires, you'll see that he now fires a lot faster. Now generally that's what the Hellfire is going to do, that they all fire a lot quicker than they were previously, and they can sort of solve it. Now you can see here that this one guy has gotten away, and we're going to basically lose our chance of getting that achievement to have a perfect game of having 30 health left and finishing the game. Later in the game, this becomes more and more painful, because look at that. He's gone, and now I'm on 29 health, and I've lost that achievement, so now I've got to start again. The most important thing to remember in this game is it is a little bit forgiving. The game realizes that it's so long, so you can actually quit and come back into a game, because this level is going to take me 3 hours anyway. So what I can actually do is when I quit, you don't want to restart, you want to quit, it will actually remember where you were up to at the beginning of the wave. So if I now go back in now, and we load up, you can see I'm now on wave 6 and I've got 30 health, because we're now just at the beginning of this wave, and so I can go, okay, well, what was my problem? What can I do to adjust what went wrong there? Now I've tried updating my towers. You can see this could cause me a problem because they may not be ready in time. But I'm going to Hellfire him, and then as soon as these two guys kick in, I will Hellfire them as well. And so what they'll do is they should do some nice work. I'll say closest to exit for these guys because he doesn't look like he's actually got that much interest in shooting at that guy. But now that I've said closest to exit, he has, and we should be in a much better situation. So now that that's done, you can see that bang, now I'm through the part that did cause me a problem, and we can continue on. So definitely remember that you can quit and continue, and it'll allow you to go on. So continuing on with our abilities down the side, we've got the nuke. This is a heavy hitter. It's sort of a little bit of a delay on the front of these guys, and it'll make a really big boom. Um, so you want to sort of try and hit as many guys as you can, like so dropping that in the middle of a group or at these cross sections when you've got several guys going back and forth is quite good. Now what I was saying about like upgrading potentially strategically, what you can do is if say I want to upgrade this guy, I know it's going to take 48 seconds, and if I reach the end of a wave, I know that I've got 5 seconds between the end of a wave and the start of the next wave to allow me to create sort of like to have time to build. So what I can do is, first I'm just going to drop that to clear out a few of these guys. So what I can do is actually use this guy, and what this ability does is it'll pull a guy out of the fight. So for example, if I drop it here, you can see that these guys just disappear. So what you can actually do is if you need a little bit more time to level a tower up at the end of a wave, what you can do is you can start that tower leveling up, and then as your last guy gets close to the exit, what you can do is you can just drop that on him. He disappears, he's gone for about 10-15 seconds, and that gives you 10-15 seconds extra time to upgrade your tower in peace before you need it in the next wave. Now you can see as well, when I'm not using abilities, they are slowly increasing, and that is also a good thing. It means that the longer I don't use an ability, the more benefit I'm going to get. Now you can see probably I've just made a mistake there by upgrading this guy, not realizing that another wave of air was coming. And so I can go, okay, well I've now learnt that lesson. So what I can do is load, come back in and do it again to regain my 30 health. Or I can also see that there is a big wave of air coming at the end of this, so I probably want to start this wave by building a lot more towers to be ready. Now, the other important thing to note is that the second that this wave ends, I can't go and quit and come back in. So as soon as, who's it going to be? This guy here leaves the map, that's it. So I have to make, if the last guy is, say, this guy and he's over here and that rocket's chasing him, I've got to be confident that he's going to blow up. Because if he's not, I'm definitely better off quitting and coming back in with my 30 health than having to start from level 1 to go again. Now in this case, I'm just going to let that roll because it doesn't matter if it's not the point of what we're doing here. But I think that's almost like a good summary of the idea of the way that you want to approach them. You just want to you want to pause as often as you can. Obviously, I'm doing this in fast forward just to sort of speed through it a bit more. But you want to have an understanding of where everyone's going. You want to. It doesn't matter if you fail a wave because all you're doing is you just want to remember that. All right, this is what was coming. That last wave was a lot of air, so I need to prepare in air. The original wave of air is fine. I can survive through that, but I need to have towers in place to address how I'm going to beat that. You've got to sort of use that, how do we describe it? You've got to use that quitting and coming back in not as an exploit, but as a creative use of in-game mechanics to allow you to learn a level, slowly get through it. Like I said, this is on easy. This is a level that you have to figure this out here, and this should just be like cutting through butter to then try and perfect it in normal, get better at it in hard, and eventually, hopefully get through it in nightmare. Some of these levels can take a lot of time in going back through wave and wave, and sometimes you might be in wave 16, you might realize that your strategy is completely wrong, and you might eventually just have to suck it up and go, I think I have to start again, but I know what I need ready by the time I hit wave 16. And you've got to try and just rebuild and structure it. A lot of times the last 10 waves or so aren't too bad, as long as you've prepared. It's generally something in the mid-range that is actually going to be the wave that really trips you up. Now you can have a look here after all this time. You can see that this tower here has done 479 damage. This guy's done 300, and this guy's even chipped in 200,000. So you can see the impact that these guys are having. Even this guy here, though it doesn't seem like he's shooting that often, he's actually come to the party later than the other guys, but is really doing some nice heavy lifting. One thing that he does as well that I didn't mention as well, that's important to note why he is as valuable as he is that he hits an area of effect. So when these guys are blowing up, I'll slow it down just so you can see it. He's actually hitting more than one. He's blowing up a group of them. So once you actually start to bring in something like slow towers, because they're going to stack on top of each other, it means that he's going to slow these guys down. So you'll see he slows down the front guys. The guys behind that catch up, and then they're stacking on top of each other. So what's actually happening is he's making a group that's allowing him to blow up more guys at once. That is another recommendation actually I have if you're really struggling with a wave and you just can't figure it out. Ask yourself, can I put in more slow towers? If you can just slow down the flow of them as much as possible, you can create these groups even more defined. So you can see this guy here is making a group here. That group is sort of going to stick together, and as it hits here, he's making it an even tighter group, and then this guy can just finish them off. So if you've got a wave that is just really sucking you in, just put in some slow towers. Now with your slow towers, they're probably the one that I would recommend you just tick the Hellfire. Just let them take care of themselves. I can't see any point where strategically you're going to need to be managing those. It's probably most importantly, if you're just dipping your feet in, definitely make sure you don't tick Hellfire for your anti-air towers, because you can see that already in this game, they're the ones that I really got use out of in using that anti-air, in using that Hellfire. With these guys, it's probably not as important to sort of start doing it straight away, but I've found as I've progressed further and further in the game, it's a good habit to have that I'm making the call on, alright, this guy needs to go now. Because generally what you'll find you can do is you can play it on fast forward like I am here. You can just talk over the top of it. You can just let the game roll, and a lot of times you will just be successful. It is just, eventually you'll hit a wave where you will lose health, and you've got to go back and quit, and then you've got to really think about, alright, what's my strategy? What am I doing to change? One of the hardest things about this game is there's not much of a notification to tell you when a troop or something has left the level. In a wave like this one, it can be very difficult too, because you can see these guys are going this way, these guys are coming this way. So if they actually overlap, they're going to be hidden underneath each other, and you might not be able to see them exiting. So you've really got to keep your eyes open. The only way that you're going to get notified is that this health is going to drop down. So sometimes it's even a good habit to get used to the idea of anytime you're playing a wave, just keep checking this. Sometimes something sneaks by, you're down to 29 health, and you have no idea how it's happened. I've painfully had it where I look up, I go, oh, I'm on 29, I quit, I load to discover that that happened a wave or two ago, and I've just forgotten to check to see if I'm still on top of things. So there's definitely a lot to get used to and check. I do think that this is a very fun game. As someone who loves tower defense games, this is possibly, yeah, like I said, the hardest one that I've played. It is a real challenge, but what's fun is it is a solvable puzzle. It's a really good thinking game, but because you can quit and come back into a wave, you can definitely really have some fun with this one if you enjoy racking your brain and getting frustrated as much as I do. Anyway, that's all for now on that one. Any other tips that you find are really handy, feel free to mention them below, or any other questions that you've got about the game. Like I said, one other tip that I think is really big and took me a long time to work out, if you're playing against water, a pure water level, you want to have lightning towers for any boats, and then you want to sprinkle it with anti-missile towers for complementing the different anti-air that's coming in. So that you want them as your anti-air, and you want these guys just focusing on your boats. I think that that's another important thing I'll just mention as well when doing this. Don't mistake that these missile towers are here with a role that is to stop land units. All that I'm doing here is I'm getting these as a bonus that they're going to attack land units when they're not doing their air support. They are not going to be a factor when it comes to Nightmare in those end levels. They're just going to be, you can see that he's doing 4,000 power and he's level 3, and this guy's doing 3,000 power and he's still level 1. At the high end, this guy is going to be doing hundreds of thousands of damage, and this guy's going to be doing, I think it's about 16,000, 17,000. So when it comes to endgame, these guys' only effect is going to be anti-air. Don't mistake that you're going to be doing yourself any favors by putting these anywhere that isn't going to be under an anti-air line, or that you're doing more than you actually need to cover the amount of air that you're going to have. That job should be going to your artillery. The artillery does take 5 seconds to fire, but as soon as you've got a whole lot of them, and so that you've got, say, 5 of them, that's one firing every second. If you've got 10 of them, that's one firing every half second. It's once you've got the pure numbers of those that you become really effective, and once they have their hellfire, they fire really quickly, and they can be an absolute game changer. So it is one thing that you've got to factor in. Obviously, I've not been updating my guys here, so as we're going along, I'm starting to really get burnt. But it's one thing that you've got to consider, that as soon as you can get having these guys up and having a lot of them, and they're in really good spots, and you've got freezing towers complementing them, you are going to do a lot of damage, and you are going to have a lot of fun and a lot of success. Uh, so yeah, sorry, that's the last point there. But yeah, any questions or comments, feel free to throw them below. Any suggestions you have as well of ways that you found that this game became a lot easier, I'd love to hear them too, because I am still powering along in this game. I can see that when it gets to level 25, you're looking at 0.1% achievement completions. So it definitely is a tricky game. But yeah, until next time, I'll catch you later. See ya.